In Matilda, a neglected girl finds a teacher named Miss Honey, who becomes the mother she never had. Mara Wilson was 8 when her real mother was diagnosed with breast cancer during filming. Danny DeVito and Rhea Perlman, her terrible fictional parents, became the adults who drove her to the hospital. 2 members of this cast are now dead. One fought cancer for 6 years before anyone knew. The film is about finding family where you did not expect it. The actress was already living that story while the cameras rolled. Before we go through the full cast, tell me in the comments which member of the Matilda cast you think ended up the farthest from where Hollywood expected them. Drop your answer now and see if you were right by the end. Number 1 is Danny DeVito, and his role in this film went deeper than any audience could have known at the time. DeVito was 51 years old when he directed, produced, narrated, and starred in Matilda as Harry Wormwood, the crooked used car dealer who treats his daughter like an inconvenience. Harry Wormwood is an adult character of roughly the same age, so there is no gap between the actor and the role. What made DeVito different from everyone else on that set is that he was the person behind the camera and in front of it, responsible for the story and for the people making it. Getting the film made was a fight. Matilda was originally set up at Universal with the production company Bregman Bear, but disagreements over budget pushed the project into turnaround. TriStar Pictures picked it up and gave DeVito the chance to finish what he started. When Matilda opened on August 2, 1996, it grossed $47 million against a $36 million budget and was labeled a box office disappointment, despite a 92% approval rating on Rotten Tomatoes. The studio did not market the film the way DeVito wanted. Audiences discovered it years later through home video and cable television, turning it into a generational touchstone long after TriStar had written it off. Off-camera, DeVito did something the audience never knew about until Wilson told them years later. When Mara Wilson's mother, Susie, was diagnosed with breast cancer on March 10, 1995 during production, DeVito and Perlman took Wilson to movies, to the theater, and to their home while her parents were dealing with hospital visits. Before Susie died on April 26, 1996, DeVito brought the near-finished film to her hospital room so she could see her daughter's performance. Wilson has publicly credited this as one of the most meaningful gestures anyone made for her family. DeVito married Rhea Perlman on January 28, 1982, after they met in 1971 at a performance of The Shrinking Bride and moved in together 2 weeks later. They separated in 2012 and again in 2017 but have never divorced. He told Fox News Digital in 2024, "We do not live together anymore, but we are together in a lot of ways." Their 3 children are Lucy, an actress who appeared alongside DeVito on Broadway in I Need That in 2023, Grace, a performance artist who married Andy Giannakakis in 2019, and Jake, a producer and director. They have 2 grandchildren. Danny DeVito is 81 years old. He continues to star in It Is Always Sunny in Philadelphia, a role he has held since 2006. Number 2 is the woman who played his on-screen wife and who was, at the time, his actual wife. Rhea Perlman was 48 when Matilda was released, and she played Zinnia Wormwood, the bingo-obsessed mother who views her daughter as a nuisance. Zinnia is an adult of similar age, so no gap exists between the actress and the character. Before Matilda, Perlman had spent 11 seasons as Carla Tortelli on Cheers from 1982 to 1993, earning 4 Emmy Awards. The industry, though, largely treated her as a sitcom actress afterward. Significant film roles did not follow the way they should have. Her casting in Matilda was tied to DeVito's involvement as director. The production wanted a real married couple to play the Wormwood parents, which meant Perlman's presence depended on her husband's. She stayed steady in the years that followed, taking roles on the Mindy Project from 2014 to 2017 and in films including I Will See You in My Dreams in 2015, Palms in 2019, and You People in 2023. Her performance as Barbie creator Ruth Handler in Greta Gerwig's Barbie in 2023 earned significant critical attention, and she appeared in a guest role on Poker Face in 2025. Outside of acting, Perlman wrote a 6-book illustrated children's series called Otto Undercover, published between 2004 and 2012, about a boy who lives in a house made from a school bus. She told the Wiser Than Me podcast in 2023 that the separation from DeVito was very difficult at first, but that they reached a pretty decent understanding and relationship with each other. She told Page Six in 2018, "We have been together a very long time, so there is a lot of love and history. We agree on enough things, so why ruin that with the yucky things that come with a divorce?" Rhea Perlman is 78 years old. She and DeVito remain legally married and share 3 children and 2 grandchildren. Number 3 brings us to the woman behind the villain every child from this era still remembers. Pam Ferris was 48 years old when she played Agatha Trunchbull, the sadistic headmistress of Cruncham Hall who terrorizes every student in her school and who stole Miss Honey's inheritance. Ferris was the same age as her character. There was no gap. She was not the first person considered for the role. Miriam Margolyes confirmed in a 2007 interview for the UK special Roald Dahl's Revolting Rulebook that she auditioned for Miss Trunchbull during a period when the production was still transitioning between studios. Ferris ultimately landed the part and delivered what many consider the defining villain performance in 1990s family film. Because Matilda underperformed at the box office, though, that recognition came slowly in the United States. She told The Guardian in 2012 that Miss Trunchbull was one of her favorite roles, calling her the bully who had fear, who was not as strong as you would think. Ferris went on to play Aunt Marge in Harry Potter and The Prisoner of Azkaban in 2004, Miriam in Children of Men in 2006, Sister Evangelina in Call the Midwife from 2012 to 2016, and Mrs. Faulkner in Tolkien in 2019. She is returning to Call the Midwife in 2026. Ferris married actor Roger Frost in August 1986. She does not have children, and she has spoken about that decision without regret. She said in an interview, "I was obsessed with work in my youth. It is why I did not get married until I was 38, and the reason I did not have kids. There is no regretting it." Pam Ferris is 77 years old. She lives in Eltham, Kent, England. The person coming next survived something the audience that loved her character had no idea was happening. Number 4 is Embeth Davidtz, who was 30 during filming and 31 at the film's release, playing Miss Jennifer Honey, the compassionate first-grade teacher who ultimately adopts Matilda and becomes the parent the Wormwoods never were. Miss Honey is written as a young woman in her mid to late 20s, making Davidtz approximately 3 to 5 years older than her character. Davidtz had already worked with Steven Spielberg as Helen Hirsch in Schindler's List in 1993 and with Sam Raimi in Army of Darkness in 1992. The affection audiences felt toward Miss Honey should have pushed her into leading roles. The industry gave her supporting parts instead. Natasha in Bridget Jones's Diary in 2001, Rebecca Price on Mad Men from 2009 to 2012, Mary Parker in the Spider-Man reboot films in 2012 and 2014, and Paige Kessler on The Morning Show from 2019 to 2021. She has said she is most often recognized for Matilda, despite a career spanning work with Spielberg, Raimi, and Alfonso Cuarón. In 2013, Davidtz was diagnosed with stage 3 breast cancer. She underwent chemotherapy, immunological treatment, lymph node removal surgery, and a bilateral mastectomy. Miss Honey's character lost her mother at a young age, and the woman who brought Miss Honey to life faced a health crisis that the audience never knew about while it was happening. Davidtz survived. She married entertainment attorney Jason Sloan on June 22, 2002, and they have 2 children, Charlotte and Asher. In 2024, she made her directorial debut with Do Not Let Us Go to the Dogs Tonight, an adaptation of Alexandra Fuller's memoir, which premiered at the Toronto International Film Festival. Embeth Davidtz is 60 years old. If you grew up watching this film and you are still here, consider subscribing. This channel covers what happened to the young actors from the shows and movies you loved, and it does so with the specificity and the care they deserve. Number 5 is the person at the center of everything this film accidentally became. Mara Wilson was born on July 24, 1987, in Burbank, California. She was 8 years old during filming in 1995 and 9 at the film's release. Her character, Matilda Wormwood, is described as 6.5, making Wilson 2 to 3 years older than the role she played. Matilda is a gifted young girl who discovers telekinetic powers and uses them to stand up to the negligent parents and cruel headmistress who control her life. Wilson had already appeared in Mrs. Doubtfire in 1993 and Miracle on 34th Street in 1994 before she was cast. Wilson attended regular school during and between film productions. Her parents maintained a rule that she could only appear in family-friendly movies. She later attended John Burroughs High School in Burbank, transferred to Idlewild Arts Academy, graduated in 2005, and enrolled at New York University's Tisch School of the Arts, where she graduated in 2009. What happened during Matilda reshaped her life. Her mother Susie was diagnosed with breast cancer on March 10, 1995, during production. Susie Wilson died on April 26, 1996. Mara was 8 years old. The film was dedicated to her mother's memory. Years later, Wilson wrote in a New York Times op-ed titled, "The Lies Hollywood Tells About Little Girls," that she had been sexualized by adult fans and media as a young actor. She wrote, "It was cute when 10-year-olds sent me letters saying they were in love with me. It was not when 50-year-old men did." After Matilda, Wilson appeared in A Simple Wish in 1997 and Thomas and the Magic Railroad in 2000, then stopped taking film roles. She turned down an audition for Donnie Darko in 2001. She said in 2012, "Film acting is not very fun. Doing the same thing over and over again until, in the director's eyes, you get it right, does not allow for very much creative freedom." Wilson has been publicly open about being diagnosed with obsessive-compulsive disorder at age 12 and attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. She lives with endometriosis and postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome, a form of dysautonomia, and serves as an ambassador for the LA Dysautonomia Network. She came out as bisexual in 2016. Her memoir, Where Am I Now? True Stories of Girlhood and Accidental Fame was published in September 2016. She appeared in the 2020 HBO documentary Showbiz Kids. In 2025, she won a Collective Audio Award. She works as a writer, voice actress, and public speaker. Mara Wilson is 38 years old. The industry forgot about the next person on this list for years. She did not forget who she was. Number 6 is Kiami Davael, who played Lavender, Matilda's best friend, and the girl who drops the newt into Miss Trunchbull's water glass. Davael was born on August 21, 1986 in Kentucky. She was 9 during filming. Lavender is depicted as approximately 6 to 7 years old, making Davael 2 to 3 years older than her character. Her family moved from Kentucky to California to pursue her career. After Matilda, Davael appeared in television roles on Moshe, The Steve Harvey Show, The Pretender, and Grown Ups, but sustained industry support never materialized. Her last significant acting credit aired in 2000 when she was 14. The transition from young actor to adult performer happened without the audition access, management, or infrastructure that would have kept her career moving. Davael earned a Bachelor of Arts degree in psychology with a minor in theater from the University of Kentucky. She directed and produced theater productions and taught acting classes to young performers. She returned to screen work in 2023 with The Forfeiture Clause and in 2024 with Wealthy and Wise. A documentary special, The Story of Kiami Davael, entered production in May 2025, the first time her story is being told from her own perspective. She told Urban Girl magazine in 2016, "I honestly am truly humbled by it all. I definitely appreciate someone being curious about my career and what I am doing." Her Instagram bio still proudly identifies her as Lavender. Kiami Davael is 39 years old. Number 7 is the cast member who walked the farthest from where this film pointed him. Jimmy Cars was born on July 26, 1984, in Los Angeles County. He was 12 at the time of the film's release, playing Bruce Bogtrotter, the student punished by Miss Trunchbull by being forced to eat an entire chocolate cake in front of the school assembly. Bruce appears to be approximately 10 to 11, making Cars 1 to 2 years older than his character. Matilda was his first audition and first professional role. The cake scene took approximately 3 weeks to film. Cars had to wear the same chocolate-encrusted outfit every day for continuity, with chocolate painted on his face in the same pattern each morning. He was 12 during this process. He told The Do in 2015, "I despised the smell of chocolate for a few weeks after that. I realized then that acting is not easy. There is a lot of skill and professionalism involved." Kars appeared in The Wedding Singer in 1998 and one episode of ER the same year, then left the industry entirely at 14. After completing undergraduate studies, he worked as a production associate for MTV News for nearly 2 years. He then pivoted to community gardening, teaching people from low-income communities how to grow their own food. Through that work, he developed an interest in biology and chemistry, returned to school, studied biochemistry, and graduated from the Philadelphia College of Osteopathic Medicine in 2017. He said he chose osteopathic medicine because it focuses on helping the whole patient. Jimmy Kars is 41 years old. He works as a doctor with minimal public presence. The boy who ate the cake became a physician. Number 8 is the woman who gave Matilda her first safe place before Miss Honey, before the school, before the powers. Jean Speegle Howard was born on January 31, 1927, in Duncan, Oklahoma. She was 69 during filming, playing Mrs. Phelps, the public librarian who becomes the first adult to see Matilda's brilliance and give her books and a space where she is recognized. Mrs. Phelps is an elderly character of approximately the same age. There is no gap. Howard was an actress who set aside her career for decades to raise her children. She was an up-and-coming performer in the 1950s when she married actor Rance Howard, and she became the primary caretaker while her husband and sons built their careers. She did not return to screen acting until the mid-1980s, nearly 60 years old. Her comeback roles included Mrs. Claus in Scrooged in 1988, the librarian in Matilda, and appearances in over 30 television shows. The industry largely cast her in grandmother and neighbor roles. Her sons are Ron Howard, the director and actor, and Clint Howard, the actor. Her grandchildren include actress Bryce Dallas Howard. In one of her last major on-camera speaking roles, she played astronaut Jim Lovell's mother in the 1995 film Apollo 13, directed by her son Ron. She and Rance Howard were married for 51 years. The 2000 film How the Grinch Stole Christmas, directed by Ron Howard, included a dedication to her. Jean Speegle. Howard died on September 2, 2000, in Burbank, California, of complications from heart and respiratory illness. She was 73 years old. Number 9 is the last name on this list, and the loss that came most recently. Paul Reubens was born Paul Rubenfeld on August 27, 1952, in Peekskill, New York. He was 43 at the time of the film's release, playing FBI agent Bob, one of 2 bumbling federal agents who pose as speedboat salesmen while investigating Harry Wormwood's car dealings. The character is an adult of approximately the same age. There is no gap between the performer and the role. Reubens created Pee Wee Herman, the man-child character who became a phenomenon through Pee Wee's Big Adventure in 1985, directed by Tim Burton, and the CBS children's show Pee Wee's Playhouse from 1986 to 1990, which won 22 Emmy Awards. In July 1991, 5 years before Matilda, Reubens was arrested for indecent exposure in an adult movie theater in Sarasota, Florida. The fine was small. The damage was total. Pee Wee's Playhouse was pulled from reruns. Reubens told NBC in 2004, "The moment that I realized my name was going to be said in the same sentence as children and sex, that is really intense." In 2002, he was charged with misdemeanor possession of obscene material, improperly depicting a child under 18 in sexual conduct. He pleaded guilty to a reduced misdemeanor obscenity charge as part of a plea deal. His role in Matilda came during the mid-1990s exile, a small comedic part, rather than the leading man he had been. Reubens worked sporadically after that in Mystery Men in 1999, Blow in 2001, and various voice roles. He revived Pee Wee on Broadway in 2010 and co-wrote Pee Wee's Big Holiday for Netflix in 2016. He never married. He had no children. In interviews for the posthumous 2025 HBO documentary Pee Wee as himself, Reubens publicly acknowledged for the first time that he was gay. He described a relationship in the 1970s with a fellow CalArts student named Guy Brown, whom he credited with inspiring some of Pee-wee's mannerisms. After Brown died of an AIDS-related illness, Reubens said he made a conscious decision to focus on his career and never entered another serious relationship until the very end of his life. Paul Reubens died on July 30, 2023, in Los Angeles. The immediate cause of death was acute hypoxic respiratory failure. The underlying cause was acute myelogenous leukemia, a cancer of the blood and bone marrow. He had also been diagnosed with metastatic lung cancer. He had fought cancer privately for approximately 6 years. In a posthumously released statement, he wrote, "Please accept my apology for not going public with what I have been facing the last 6 years." He was 70 years old. The version of Matilda that audiences saw in 1996 was not the first version that existed. The film was originally developed at Universal with Bregman Bear Productions before budget disagreements forced the project into turnaround, and TriStar Pictures gave DeVito the room to finish it. Before Pam Ferris was cast as Miss Trunchbull, Miriam Margolyes auditioned for the role, a fact she confirmed during a 2007 filmed interview for Roald Dahl's Revolting Rulebook. Margolyes went on to play Aunt Sponge in James and the Giant Peach, also released in 1996. The Trunchbull audiences feared was not the first one considered. The studio that released the film was not the one that started it. The version of Matilda that shaped a generation of young viewers almost never existed, and the distance between the film that was made and the one that was abandoned came down to one budget dispute and one casting decision.